Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We're getting ready to have a chat with Latoyaa Roberts, who's on her third novel, and this time around she brings Caribbean romance with climate reality. And she joins us via Zoom this morning. Good morning to you, Latoyaa Roberts.
Hi, good morning. How are you today?
So far, so good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's a great day.
It definitely is. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your third book. I mean, third time's the charm, and this is definitely no small feat. But tell me some of the things that would have inspired you to bring romance, Caribbean romance in particular, with climate change.
Sure. So when I first thought about this book, I knew I wanted to write a romance novel, but I didn't want to leave it so simplified as boy meets girl, boy like girl, they happily ever after. So I was thinking about what concept or what idea might bring an interesting twist to the story, but also leave a strong message and really impart values on the persons who read the book. So because of that, I said, I'm living in a Caribbean island, living in a small island state. I'm seeing so much going around with climate change and how that is affecting. And at the time, it wasn't even the bigger issue of climate change. It was just like, I see the beach eroding, I see the place not beautiful anymore as it should be. And then as I started to research, I said, okay, let's really bring in the whole discussion of how the environment is being destroyed. And the same way how you're searching for love with a person, hopefully you find peace and love with the environment too.
That's a beautiful way to put it, because oftentimes we don't think about the environment like that in terms of looking for peace and love and finding that unity with the environment, but we definitely need it. Can you give us a quick synopsis of the book?
Sure. So the book has two main characters being James and Megan. Megan is a person who grew up on a small island. She went away to university. She studied marine biology, etc. And she was living and working the corporate life, but she decided to return home. And when she returned home to this small island mentality, there's a community challenge, there's a destruction in the environment. So she became a champion and an advocate for the environment. On the other hand, James, also family based from the Caribbean, but they moved abroad and actually opened a large multi-million company that was focused on a lot of technology and development, but very little impact back to local home. So Megan had this conference in which she invited different persons from all over to come and discuss the climate change issue. And as tokenism, his father sent him to attend the conference just as tokenism to go back, see what's happening in the island. So the perception that the local villagers had of him was like he didn't care about the island anymore. They had migrated, living the big corporate boardroom life and not really understanding the challenges that we face in small island states. So within the novel, there's a lot of back and forth tit for tat with James and Megan because they see different perspectives on how to solve this issue. She thinks he's just a corporate brat who doesn't care about the world, doesn't care about the environment. He thinks she's just like too upstart and I guess too rugged and want to be too traditional left in the island mentality. But within them fighting and quarreling about the same problems that they're facing on the island, they realize that things are so similar and they wanted the solution, and it was all about working together to achieve that. So in the end, James falls in love with Megan, and they're both now continuing to champion the cause of sustainability in the island. Unfortunately, James has to report back to his father in the States, and he's not too pleased about the new path that James has decided to take on, more focus on sustainability and really putting the money into good projects that could really save not only St Giles, which is where the island is based in the story, but other projects in different Caribbean islands.
Tell me
I
why
think
that's
it in a nutshell.
Tell me why you based it in St. Giles.
Well, because I'm from Tobago, I didn't want to put the word Tobago, but St. Giles is actually a small island of Tobago. So I just looked around my surroundings and just tried to find little symbols for things that represent what I know and what I feel.
Yeah, and I love how you were able to simplify it earlier on when you said, it may not necessarily look like climate change in terms of the big words that we use when we talk about climate change, but we see the effects of it every day, just in terms of, you might go outside and the place is not as you remembered it when you were younger, or, you see less flowers, you see more Sahara dust, you see different aspects of things that have an impact on the environment without realizing that, yeah, this is actually still climate change. But I find it very interesting that the story starts with bacchanal between the two of them and then they end up falling in love. Tell me, was this inspired by real characters in any way, form, or fashion?
Not quite, but I just figure I just figured that is normally how the love story goes, right? I don't think people just automatically fall in love. There must be some tension, and as with creative writing, I guess you must have your rise in action, and there must be tension and drama between the characters. So yes, initially these characters did not agree at all, and then as time went along, they realized that they're fighting the same fight, and it's better to do it together.
Yeah, man, and that's a beautiful way to start a love story as well. But it's also a love story to the island and to being able to preserve the island. Tell me about in terms of the stories that the villagers or the experiences that the villagers would have had in the story. Are those did you pull from any actual references of things that you may have discovered along the way when it comes to what impacts the environment and the climate?
Yes, definitely. So within this story, I tried to make it really realistic and down to examples. So there was an example in the story of when there was like a community village meeting, and the fisherman came in and he gave his part and his contribution at these things not working, and how he's losing his daily income because no longer could he fish where he used to fish long ago, or he's seen a decrease in the fish, etc. Also in the story, there was another community meeting, and I had like what we'll call a village beggar, a village piper, and everybody thought he didn't have anything to contribute or anything to say to the issue that is going on, and how climate change is affecting him. And then he explained that climate change is affecting him in little ways, because if people have no more money or little small jobs around their business or around the island, then he also is not benefiting in any way, and it's difficult for him to survive. So I really tried to pull from really common examples, because when I started to write this book, I did research. I looked at YouTube. I spoke to colleagues who are in the climate change arena. I tried to understand what is the issues that are facing, and then how could we relate it to the common man without going so technical. And I also tried to do practical solutions, practical community-based solutions that groups can do so they could consider and replicate in their daily lives.
Yeah, man, and I think solutions is definitely one of the ways that we can learn to benefit from this book. Tell me about the name, The Tide Reclaims. A very interesting name, and of course, we kind of get the idea of it, but what made you decide and settle on this name, this title?
Well, because we're from the Caribbean, I know a lot of the focus is always about the sea, the ocean. But for me, I guess it's symbolic to say, like, no matter what, nature is the one in charge, and nature always comes back at the forefront. So I guess the reclaims is the resurfacing or coming back. So the tide goes in and it comes out. It goes in and comes out. But this time, it's like when the environment, when the planet becomes a level of sustainability, which I think it will. Yes, there's climate change and things are happening, but I believe that nature will have a way to balance itself back. So the time reclaims represents that.
Nice. Latoyaa, tell me where we can get access to the book and how much does it cost?
Sure. So the book is available in Tobago at Books and Office Supplies and Heritage Haven Books and Things. They are both based in Scarborough. And also in Trinidad, it's available at Scribbles and Quills in Shogunas, and also the Market Movers at El Socorro, and also at Eastside Plaza in Port of Spain. So I encourage persons to get a copy of the book. It's $120.
Nice. Definitely. Thank you so much for doing it and for joining us this morning on the Now Morning Show. We definitely appreciated having you here. Congratulations on your third book, and we look forward to hearing more of the great reviews from it.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Latoyaa Roberts, author and founder of CEO Books by LR, and the author of The Tide Reclaims. Get your copy today. I think it's definitely a story worth reading. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have your birthday shouts on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned.